We begin today with a keynote address from our very own Aotearoa Fisheries. The company has been a huge supporter of this conference, as you know, and today they're going to unveil their new branding. It's an exciting direction for the company, one that is guided and underpinned by its Maori ownership and developed to demonstrate and show the true connection that AFL has with iwi and hopes to have with iwi. Carl Carrington has been the Chief Executive of AFL for the last 4 years and probably needs no introduction to you. Carl's family comes from Whakatohea. My experience with them is that they don't listen. No, don't tell them that, Carl. They won't listen to you if you told them anyway. Carl came to us from the brewing industry, so he's had a long time work with Max and a few other of the brewing giants. So he's ticking off beer, fish, and working with all the main food groups. He's also going to be joined in the presentation by the General Manager for Group Business Development, Craig Orr. So could you welcome them to the stage?
Ena iwi, ena mana, ena rau rangatira, ma tēnei aku mihi mahana kia koutou e hui mānai. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou. The impetus for this new direction started not long after I addressed you at the last AGM and conference just last year. And having established a very strong foundation in our underlying assets, we believed it was time to look at how we can add more value to our business. Getting the supply model and our underlying cost structures in balance is absolutely paramount to building any sustainable business. It's the first of the basic building blocks we must achieve as a high-quality, world-class infrastructure. But this is no more so important than when we're looking to drive a shift into the creation of a demand-led business. And ultimately, our underlying duty is to derive maximum value for all of our species, which historically has meant focus on taking out cost and building efficiencies. And largely, it's required us to be operating in a pool of competition where we have really been price takers and not price influencers, and certainly not price makers. Being an undifferentiated commodity supplier has seldom ever proven to be a great position for any leading primary producer. And indeed, if you are going to rely on being a commodity supplier, then you need to be absolutely the lowest cost producer. And I would hazard to say that we are not the lowest cost, and getting to be the lowest cost requires a value system that is most likely in conflict with the values that we actually want to drive through our business and through our communities. So we choose to chart a different path, which requires us to have very cost-effective base, but look to drive value. Underlying all our research and planning is the unequivocal mission to you, which is about retaining and returning sustainable value. And I probably need not remind you of the dilemma that Fonterra faces right now, very topical discussion. A business that has focused on being one of the world's most efficient commodity producers, and now as commodity prices have turned down, is taking quite a bit of flack for not having driven the progress into value-added products fast enough and aggressively enough. We certainly don't wish to fall into that same picture. Beneath the surface, we've always believed there was more. There was a story that until now was perhaps more implied than actually talked about. A story that needed to be threaded together in order to secure our unique position. But importantly, it's a story that we can, hand on heart, say belongs with iwi. We've actually come a very long way in a relatively short time frame. And how we've come together has been reflected in the multiple entities and trading names that we're collectively known by within our group. And who do you know us as? Is it Prepared Foods, OPC, Kiora Seafoods, Ocean Ranch, Ocean's Blue, Pacific Marine Farms, Moana Pacific? So the list of entities and trading brands that we have is as long as my arm. The difficulty is that building brands is not for free, and it's certainly an investment that requires single-minded focus. So we do have a mission in front of us, a task that we need to select one brand that we are going to single-mindedly invest behind and make our own. Our market research from several of our key markets strongly suggested that the name Aotearoa is simply too difficult to produce in many of our markets, well actually in all of our markets outside of Aotearoa. And further, the name is actually, people don't know what it means. So we have to invest twice in establishing that Aotearoa is equivalent to New Zealand and all the values that New Zealand stands for in terms of pure, clean, green and safe. The additional advice that we received from the research was that the word fisheries also has proven to draw reference to processing facilities and mass fishing operations, rather than actually being associated with a premium seafood brand. So the name Aotearoa Fisheries was a significant challenge that would require substantial investment to overcome. But it's actually the moana, the ocean. That's what actually connects all of our business entities together. And I'll indulge a little by taking you through our discovery steps for how we have arrived at our new brand and the architecture and meaning behind it. Firstly, we look at what we have, our infrastructure, understanding what it is that makes us unique. And we sum it up as privileged access to one of the world's most pristine and sustainably managed fisheries. And when I talk about privileged access, I'm not referring to license to operate. I'm talking about privileged access to the most pristine environment perhaps in the world that underpins the remarkable provenance story that we have. And it's backed up by iwi-wide ownership, longevity of assets and relationship to traditional fishing grounds, one of the world's most sustainably managed fisheries, a tenure and depth of staff with great experience, known and trusted trading brands. And this all translates into what we call true provenance, connecting you to the true taste of a pure place. Next, we focused on the products and services, trying to understand what we actually do and what is unique about it. And we determined that what makes us unique is that we carefully harvest and quickly bring to market a range of highly sought-after species from New Zealand's renowned coastal waters, our traditional fishing grounds. So place is about providing access and connection to a range of renowned regional fisheries. The process is about a focus on fresh, live and chilled with a superior supply chain capability and flexibility that gives us speed to market and reliable supply. And it's about people with fishing expertise, exporting expertise and trusted relationships. And we actually translate this into being true to nature. Seafood as good as it can be, brought to market with a lightness of touch that preserves and protects its pure taste and rare magic, just like you were there and caught it yourself. Building our case a little further, next is how we go about it. With our connection and our lightness of touch, we give you access to New Zealand's best seafood. It's about lightness of touch, preserving the integrity and inherent untainted quality. It's about efficiency and responsiveness to market, connecting people to the quality they need. It's about progressive thinking that works in harmony with nature. And I use the example of te aki way, te aki fishing. And it's about having a long-term intergenerational view, which for us we translate into meaning being true for generations. We have a deep sense of responsibility and respect for our kai moana, taking the long-term view in everything that we do. And therefore, as true stewards, we uphold our four key values: kaitiakitanga, manaakitanga, whakapapa, and whakatiporanga. These values inherently take us on a path to building value, not being the lowest cost commodity operator. So who we are means we are entrusted to ensure that people will always be able to share and connect with the true taste and rare magic of New Zealand's best kai moana. True connection to the source, unfiltered taste of this place, deep sense of responsibility, taking the long-term view. That sounds like what we would want to have as the essence of our business. And the final step in our discovery is why we do it. What's our purpose, our mission, ultimately our cause? And we say that it's about building true connection, true provenance, true to nature, and true for generations. Our mission here is therefore to lay the groundwork for us to build now one of the world's most premium seafood brands. And we distill all of this down to a single-minded essence, a single-minded proposition: true connection. So by now you will have seen this around the hall. This is our brand, Moana New Zealand. And it has both a positive and negative colour rendition with the new lockup, which I'll go to next. We've also developed a Maori, which is symbolised in the lines below the Moana, and this is something that Craig will pick up when he presents and takes us through how we bring this to life. And to enhance the success of the Moana brand in the key Asian market, we tested our name with 8 different translations with target Chinese consumers. And interestingly, the translation, Maori seafood, ranked the highest in preference. It was not a rigged test, I assure you. And it ranked the highest in preference due to the similarity of pronunciation from Maori English to Chinese, allowing it to be read smoothly. But I also liked how it has a strong direct link to the product and its unique origins. And for those who have been to China doing business up there, you will understand the extremely strong cultural connection that Chinese have with the Maori culture. The resonance is absolutely fantastic. So being able to leverage that in the brand name and the way that we have is a huge positive step for us. So I'm going to hand over to Craig, who's going to take us through now how this comes to life.
Kia ora koutou. It's a privilege to have the opportunity to address you and share some of our brand development plans that Carl has so poignantly outlined. In reality, the journey began in one form or another many years ago. At this point in our timeline, though, we're really looking to connect our one brand, our one story more directly with consumers, and just as importantly here as well as overseas, where we've developed quite a good trade or global trade reputation for premium quality, and thereby looking to try and move ourselves up the value chain. A simple way to look at this on the slide next to me here is what we call the connectivity within this circle. Our focus, and I think Carl's mentioned this earlier, has recently been really on securing and improving the supply side of our equation. The old adage of you cannot sell what you cannot catch. So rightly we've had an emphasis looking at the circle there on the sort of the 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock sphere of it. And as Peter referred to sort of in another life, I kind of knew that as happy hour. But today it means something else. Having established and remodeled these supply foundations, the shift to a demand model and therefore investment in brand development will see us connect in a more cohesive, coordinated and connected way, the Moana way. In the end, when our last quota fish is sold, our last oyster shucked, and our last wild paua served in a restaurant, we can receive no more value than what we've done our best to achieve at this level. So investing in a unique iwi brand proposition gives us a capacity to move beyond just the volume appeal of that trade supply pool depicted by that large oval at the bottom, up to a premium and ultimately a super premium range of consumer offerings, i.e. up the value continuum. Easy on the diagram, but a little bit more challenging in practice. So in volume terms, our trade supply business will always remain an important and vital element of our business. However, in doing more of the same really isn't an option for us, really isn't the best that we can do. Brand management, and in particular the brand development phase of this, is often misunderstood. It's not understood, or as one of my colleagues continues to remind me, is probably best left to those from the colouring division, sealed off in their own corner of the building with their crayons. The key link to this creation is one of your own, think of it as one of your own mokopuna, where every element of the creation's ultimate journey is often established in the formative years. Building these foundations and values into your own brand takes a discipline, takes a sacrifice, and some hard decisions occasionally to shape a pathway for success. So too with this brand. We will face some of those in our future journey. So we believe it's important to create a strong emotive connection to the brand, and at this stage my notes have slipped away, so that we can continue to build on motive connection with our brand by drawing from within, from our people, our place and our product. The authenticity of our brand will be by far the most compelling element of the brand development, and will set up the pathway to what we know as consumer nirvana, that big word called trust. Each of these 7 brand colours behind me and in front of you will resonate with many of you, some more than others, but each is unique to our brand. They will start to come alive in some future applications and consumer communications. We've split these into 2 parts, the master brand Moana on the left and the species colour palettes on the right-hand side. The latter you'll see come to life as we start to develop some applications through our product and future packaging. The power of the written word cannot be underestimated for the impression it leaves the reader with, hence the need when creating a brand to ensure that we are authentic right down to this last minute detail. Perhaps one of the most defining attributes we aim to bring to brand Moana is the vitality that our Maori within our master brand, as evidenced by the top line illustrations. And as we begin the brand Moana journey of consumer connections, you'll start to see the species illustrations in the lower half of the screen there also take on a life of their own. Pictures tell us 1,000 words, so they say, and I could spend all morning showing you the library that we've since developed. But apparently there's another gingo due up on the stage here soon, so I better get on with it. Rest assured, we've created our own mood or style, which will visually depict our unique brand story while staying true to the Maori and ultimately the authenticity behind it. As an organisation, we'll shape ourselves in a manner that better reflects where we're aiming. It takes our species and unique story of Moana to the world. Simply, we've become one under Moana, and whilst the past is important to mark as above, we expect to leverage our offer a whole lot better as one united entity. Next month sees also the official start to our Port Nicholson Fisheries partnership, so we'll see our brand support for PNF come to life under these new arrangements. In consumer speak, or the external facing view of ourselves, is now demonstrated in this one simple slide. So we will look at ourselves along species lines, and in the same way any consumer looking for a quality seafood experience will go searching for under Moana. Take a look at these next few slides and I'll show you how this comes to life. So picking up on the theme that Carl built, but privileged access to a wide range of species. Wild, caught and harvested with a lightness of touch, retaining as much of Moana as possible, building a range of premium and super premium products under one unified brand to command greater value. Globally, our power are referred to as abalone, and none more precious than our wild caught single source origin. And for Moana, all natural, non-bleach and super premium. This is most certainly a longer term play to reposition ourselves. Hand harvested from our rugged shoreline and our nutrient-rich waters, New Zealand is our provenance here for the key markets we appeal to, notably Asia and China. Perhaps one of the biggest challenges and greatest departures sees our repositioning to blue abalone for our farm species from up Ruakaka in the north. You all know the big threat the impact of the undifferentiated farmed product from China and Korea has already made on us. So up the value chain we aspire with super premium Bream Bay blue abalone. There's a few images here on how that might look in packaging terms as we start to develop that proposition. Pacific oysters, perhaps the most promising beneficiary of the branded approach, will see the introduction of our super premium brand Moana's Takuma Bay Coromandel oysters. As the demand for oysters grows exponentially and in particular live, so does the consumer thirst for source of origin and knowledge of the brand's food security. Hence, leveraging the provenance and location around the source of supply is an important lesson and insight learned from many other notable primary industry sectors, not to mention the wine business with their success of Provenance Marlborough. As mentioned, April 2016 heralds the beginning of our relationship with PNF, so therefore does the opportunity to support this by accommodating in a business terms, a straight pass-through of sales inquiry to Grant Absol and his team. I haven't seen Grant here this morning, but we've been working well together. As we develop a portfolio approach to our new B2C brand, so will our support to leverage our partnership, and in particular our coordination into the Chinese and wider Asian markets. So how will we look? Perhaps one of the most important transitions will be into the digital marketing world, in order to speak directly with consumers wherever they may be. We all live in that digital age, as we're well aware of now. If you go to your phones, you will see moana.co.nz alive and well in a mobile sense. That is the website that we've launched, what we would call an interim website, for our soft launch at the China Fisheries and Seafood Show in Qingdao. The website's now undergoing its final development for transition with all else that is currently on the AFL site for its full launch in June around Matariki. Signage, so behind me is the indicative look across for all of our businesses, which will undergo over the coming months, linking our network and brand. Each site differs in its need, but essentially you will expect to identify all as Moana New Zealand. There's another angle on the Bel Ave business. Mobile signage will be used right across all existing vehicles, and if I jump one there, and also these markers around the place. These are good mobile signage. Moving on to all the print collateral, aligning all the existing businesses and building the Moana story. The Moana Way booklet on your seat in front of you or underneath you is a really good keepsake for you to better understand our brand investment, and by all means we would welcome you sharing that around with your colleagues. There are some more there available if you need them as well. Coming up now is a first look at the coordinated Moana, what we call B2B packaging, that is changing all of our current packets types for species to get a coordinated brand look for everyone. So in this image, this is a finfish 10 kg carton with specific end mandatories, and we've included a Chinese version of that for the market, as you'll see on the wall. Poly bins, all species will move to a branded look with a debossed lid to bring to life a bit of branding as well. And then as we move across our species, finfish to Kuma Bay oysters, a proposed B2B pack that also leverages the provenance both visually on the pack as well as confirming its authenticity with GPS coordinates printed. So all Moana packs, irrespective of species, will appear in our Moana Blue Pantone. Moving to the consumer base, to Kuma Bay oysters at a consumer level will begin to look something like this in a 12-pack frozen half shell, building on the already very successful Foodstuffs trial 12-pack, but developing a pack that now extends its shelf life a little with some additional rigidity for transport into export markets. Also in development, not yet complete, some additional concepts to bring to life what we call our Bream Bay Blue Abalone. There's a consumer 6-pack there and the existing food service 1 kg pack on the right. Final slides now, really it's kind of indicative of what we aim to try and achieve. So 45% of our current business remains domestic, if you obviously include our cousins across the ditch, and whilst this is still the foundation of our business, our brand investment and future revenue creation is designed to appeal to the demand side of this fish, which means growing the overall size of the revenue by shifting some of that demand creation from markets that can afford to pay a little more. The growing wealth in China and Greater Asia markets will be targeted to buy into this premium and super premium brand proposition. So we've a limited resource to manage, and we expect that achieving a greater value will also see some traditional domestic markets shrink proportionately as we lift our revenue sites into the export markets above the equator. November last year saw the first milestone for our new brand. We undertook a soft launch, as mentioned, to the global seafood industry, and in particular our domestic colleagues, with our domestic colleagues through the support of New Zealand Trade and Enterprise. It was a great signal to the export trade customers that Moana New Zealand was now a coordinated and connected brand, open for business. Watch the space, there'll be a bit more to follow. So in closing, I'd like to thank you for your attention this morning and welcome you to view another short film here, one in which we'll give you a taste of how we soft launched our brand last year in Qingdao and the reaction we achieved. Nami. We're here in the wonderful city of Qingdao, 2015, to launch our new brand, Moana New Zealand. Globally, this is the largest seafood exhibition that occurs throughout the world.
Absolutely fantastic this year with emphasis on Maori.
Māori command 50% of the seafood exports from New Zealand, and it's wonderful to be able to support them in what we do internationally.
We have the true taste of New Zealand's best kai moana. We need to wrap it up in the rare magic of the iwi story, and we put those two together, then we can really drive value. It's all about how do we add more to what we have today, and that's the role of the brand as we go forward. Moana New Zealand resonates absolutely with the Chinese consumer.
The customers have been very positive about the product. They know it's a high value product.
A lot of people asking about the New Zealand power. They never have the idea why the color is so bad color, but when they look into that, it's very attractive. Because the sale is attractive, the product is attractive.
It is about people, it's about product, and it's about place. We get that brand right. This product is not right for Aotearoa just by itself, it's right for the world.
nā rere ko e toru kia te wahanga o te kaupapa kia pono, kia tūturu ki te wāhi kia tae hoki te pai o ngā mea ka hokona kia tātai hoki, kia tūturu, kia tōtika hoki ki Ngauri, koe nā katoa.
Over top of this, as NZTE, we're trying to promote and tell the New Zealand story to customers in China. And I thought the Moana brand launch today fitted in really nicely with that story.
It was really good to see all our New Zealand companies in the one area. They shone, it was a packed fair.
When the Minister came and his delegation and the authenticity of bringing ngai Māori to China, it was quite a sight to behold.
So the reception of our soft launch and the cultural connection through our kapahaka group has been phenomenal. And it's been able to showcase not only Māori culture, our tikanga, our mātauranga Māori to the world.